Good Thursday evening. This is the Sports Sir Brad Walker, and welcome, guys, inside the Walker Report. Hopefully, everyone out there is staying good. This is a Thursday night. Hopefully, everyone has had a good week so far, as we are one step closer to the weekend. Hopefully, everyone out there is staying safe. This is the Walker Report. We are part of In the Zone Sports Radio. I have two sponsors on this show, guys. The first one is CreatingZenSpaces.com. The local choice in St. Petersburg, Florida, for house cleaning, organization, decluttering, and pet sitting. It's about finding the peace within you and adding comfort to your life. I am also, guys, sponsored by B&B Graphics and More. They have a Facebook page, guys, at B&B Graphics and More. They customize in tumblers, coffee mugs, t-shirts, vinyls, Santa cookie plate, milk for Santa, food and reindeer customs. They also do a lot of sports stuff as well, guys. Get 10% off, guys, when you make an order just by mentioning yours truly, the Sportster Brad Walker. To place an order, guys, you can email them at bnbgraphicsandmore@gmail.com or give them a private message on their Facebook page at B&B Graphics and More. The person you want to talk to is Rebecca. But, guys, welcome in on this Thursday night. Again, hopefully everyone out there is doing very, very well. I know we got over election night. I know there are some people out there that are happy. There are some people out there that are not so happy. But guys, that is not part of my show. I am a sports show, so I'm not going to be talking politics on here. I think those two topics need to be separated anyway. If you guys do see me turn my head again this direction as you see me now, I'm either one, reading my notes, or two, the Packers game is coming on, the Packers and 49ers this evening. Guys, I will be joined at 9 p.m. by my good buddy Chuck Thomas, Bucks player. It's his show. He will be on here to talk with me for the final hour of my show from 9 to 10 about the NFL and what are the surprise for the first 8 weeks that I am on so far. So that will be awesome as well. So let me go ahead, guys, and dive right into this. As we know, the baseball season has come to an end. And guess what, guys? Guess who's favored to be the World Series champion next year? That would be the Dodgers and the Yankees as well, as far as baseball goes. Hear how the odds break out. Right now, the Braves are 10-1 odds. The Rays are 12-1. The Padres are 13-1 so far this year. So there you go again, guys. So right now, the Dodgers are the lead, leading with, of course, the Yankees being the second best odds, even though they lost to the Rays in the ALDS this year. And speaking, guys, of baseball in general, I did not know this until after the World Series was over, but I guess Justin Turner broke COVID-19 protocol. They're investigating this. I don't know if there was any outcast or anything like that from it. But Rob Manfred issued a critical statement that third baseman Justin Turner, who came onto the field 2 minutes despite testing positive for COVID-19, it was clear that Turner chose to disregard and agree upon joint protocols and instructions he was given regarding the safety and protection of others. So, guys, I mean, there you go right there. Obviously, that's not something that was very intelligent move and smart move on his part to go ahead and do that. Dave Roberts, their manager, was diagnosed with cancer in 2010. Proceeded directly to Turner's right and was also not wearing a mask. Again, he would be at a higher risk of COVID-19, guys, because he has an underlying medical condition. So I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. What's going to happen? I don't know if there's going to be any punishment for this. That I do not know. We'll have to wait and see what comes out of it. But that that's a bonehead move, especially now with the numbers starting, I guess, guys going back up. Again, we're getting ready to get into our holiday season. I mean, how fast the year's gone by, and we're going to be talking, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's are right around the corner from each other. So I don't foresay anything, but that was a bonehead move by Justin Turner. And, I'm wondering myself if, what the ramifications from that are going to be. We'll have to wait and see how that all comes out. The NBA guys, I don't know if you guys heard, but the Miller family has reached an agreement to sell the Utah Jazz and Vivint Arena to Ryan Smith, a Utah-based software entrepreneur. They sold the team for $1.6 billion, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, who's one of ESPN's top NBA analysts as well. That is pretty darn cool that happened. The deal, which included the G League Salt Lake City Stars and the Salt Lake Bees, a AAA affiliate of the Los Angeles Angels, is pending approval from the NBA's Board of Governors. The Miller family will maintain a minority interest in the organization, but for the most part, they have sold it for $1.6 billion. Miller and her late husband, Larry, purchased 50% of the team in 1985. The remaining share a year later. Larry H. Miller died from complications of type 2 diabetes at the age of 64 in 2009. So, again, guys, the Utah Jazz, all my Utah Jazz fans out there, the Jazz have posted a 1,470 and 1,014 under the Miller's tenure as owners of 5.92 winning percentage. Pretty good. That's well over 500. But again, guys, the NBA fears there another $1 billion loss if the season starts delayed to 2021. Now, again, I believe I heard something today that they wanted to get a season started. They were supposed to vote on it today. It was supposed to be a 72-game season. The players were supposed to vote on that today. I didn't see anything on the internet about that, if that was illegal or done or not. The NBA fears a revenue loss of between $500 million to $1 billion next season. The league is reportedly also facing a $4 billion loss if fans aren't allowed back into the arenas. So again, guys, we will have to wait and see on that. I could see them starting in actually next month. I could probably see them starting up to get back out there. It'd be a quick turnaround for a lot of those guys, especially the guys that went deep into the playoffs, like the Lakers and the Heat. It says right here the NBA would plan to give the Lakers and the Heat players only 51 days of rest between their last game and the start of camp. I know, guys, these guys are athletes, but that's a lot to ask. 51, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask there. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So here are about Giannis. Of course, will sign a 5-year Supermax extension valued at $220 million, $250 million, depending on the cap level. Unless something drastic changes, Milwaukee is not trading him. Okpotenko doesn't sign. The Bucks are prepared to play it out, sources have said. With the Bucks start 35, Okpotenko wants to commit. That would be interesting because I have heard rumors, guys, that he is supposed to be heading to Miami. So that's interesting. We'll have to wait and see how that. And of course, you're going to have Kevin Durant back with the Nets. You're going to have Kyrie Irving back with the Nets as well. So yeah, and the Drew Holiday is being shopped around as we speak for teams. So let's see where he ends up this year. And now will Chris Paul stay in Oklahoma City, or will he go to Milwaukee? Is the question. Can the Raptors re-sign Freddie VanVleet and keep Serge Ibaka on a 1-year balloon? Yeah, so there's a lot of questions with everybody right now as the NBA season gets closer and closer. Bradley Beal's another name, guys, that's being shopped around out there as possible trades and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. The number 1 and number 2 picks both The Timberwolves and Warriors have explored trading their picks for all-star level stars. Sources say, but no such deal appears for now likely to materialize. I know, guys, I've been reading a lot on the Sunshine State Sports Jabber, my Monday show, about the Magic trading to get up to number 2. The trade would then give the Magic, I believe, Andrew Wiggins and the number 2 pick. I don't know what the Golden State would get in return out of that. But then again, we'll have to see. But no matter what, guys, you're looking at Golden State, who's going to have Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green all back. So whoever they add, whoever they pick, they're going to be right there again in the thick of it next season. So again, the Magic are, Aaron Gordon is another one who could be on the move and stuff like that. So again, guys, I'm going to keep everything moving. And I'll check and see if anything materializes with any of the NBA as we get closer, possibly to the season starting, or any kind of big news. I'll report it here next Thursday, and the Thursday's coming. The only Thursday, guys, I'm not going to be doing this show, obviously, will be 3 weeks from now. I won't be doing it on Thanksgiving. I don't think there's going to be too many people around. Hopefully everyone will be enjoying Thanksgiving meal with their family. I don't expect to be on here. I'll be doing that myself. So, all right, guys, let's jump. I got a little bit of UFC news, I guess. According to Dana White, Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier have been finalized. The deal is done. It can be confirmed and will take place at UFC 257 on January 23rd, 2021. Will likely meet in a heavy lightweight division. This is reported by Mike Baum of MMA Junkie, and they said it's a done deal. Dana White also told Khabib is still the light champion, even though I know Khabib did announce his retirement. Which kind of, in a way, guys, do you really, I have to ask this question. Honestly, do you think Khabib would come out to face Conor McGregor and McGregor challenged him? I don't know. That's a question that, you have to wait and see. 50-50. Okay. That would be something that I would have to, I don't know. Would you come out of retirement for that? Exactly. Money, exactly. Yeah. Money's a very deciding factor. My man Adam is in here. He's messaging me to the picture here. Yeah. Money does make a big difference. That's definitely. And you'll like this one. Hey, I'm going to bring Adam on live here, guys. Hang on just a second. I'm going to unmute this. Hey, bud, what's going on? Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. So here we go. But I found this story, and I thought that this one might interest you a little bit. Deontay Wilder, you ready for this? I read this story. He accused Tyson Fury of loading his gloves for their fight. Demands a rematch. Now, how much BS do you think that is? Because I know that's not anywhere near the truth.
You're going to get the rematch anyway. So, why poke the bear?
Well, they've been back and forth on that. Obviously.
Well, he has an automatic rematch clause anyway.
Right.
That's just bulletin board material.
Yeah. To me, I think the fight that we all want to see is Fury Joshua. I really think
that's going to be a good fight. That'd be a better fight than Fury Wilder 3.
Well, and again, we all saw what happened in the second fight anyway. Do you think that that's not going to happen again in the third one? What is
there's no reason to believe it wouldn't happen again.
No, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
You're gonna start talking mad junk.
Yeah,
you're gonna start talking absolute. Right. You know what?
Yeah.
And you don't think he's gonna go in there to clown your butt?
Well, and the funny thing is, he did exactly what he said he was going to do in the press conference. He came out and said, "Hey, I'm going to lean on him. I'm gonna, he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and he won the fight. From what I understand, fair and square.
And then and this just sounds like excuses to me.
I agree with you. No, I totally agree with you. That's why I wanted to bring you on there for a second, because I knew that article would get you routed up a little bit, because I know we have talked about this in the past. Yeah. And I know
I beat your ass clean. I beat your ass fair and square, right?
He
I
did.
mean, and then you're gonna sit here and try and accuse me of junk 6-7 months later.
Yeah.
Why didn't you call Turning Fistal? And we're 8 months after the fight, almost. We're almost 8 months to the end of the end of the fight.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're gonna wait until now to call. Why didn't you say that the day after the fight, or in April, or March, or whatever it is? The fight was in February. Why didn't you say that in April or March?
Yeah. No.
Now you're waiting until now.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
If I'm Fury, I'm just like, you name the place.
Well, I mean, I guess negotiations have broke down between the two camps. I don't know. I mean, they keep Fury. I remember reading an article a couple weeks ago that Fury said that Deontay Wilder's camp is the one that keeps delaying the fight. He wants to fight. He's ready to go, and they keep delaying it. Now Wilder goes, well, of course. Wilder goes, oh, now I'm going to come up with an excuse. I don't know if that's something, like you said, it's board material to get people to talk about it again. Maybe that's what they're looking for. But do you really honestly think that it's smart to poke a guy who just beat your ass earlier?
No, it's not. It's asinine. I mean, all you're doing is you're poking the bear, man.
I agree with you.
Poking the bear.
I totally. I don't know why he's doing it, but he is. So there's nothing.
There is that
about that. So I saw you, with the McGregor thing. So you think that if you think Khabib would come out if the money was
money's right, I'll fight anybody, man.
Well, I mean, they've only had one fight with each other, right? Or they've had two.
I think they've had two now. And McGregor's lost both of them.
I mean, the only thing that I think McGregor would want is a rubber match, obviously, even though you
of course
lost two. But I mean, just to say I beat him, because if you look at McGregor's sheet, that's really the only guy that he has.
That's the only blemish.
The only blemish that's on his. Now, again, we're not going to sit here and argue that he isn't one of the best that's ever got in the octagon.
No.
But he, again, sometimes, I mean, it's not going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame or anything. I know we're not talking about that. Because if that's the case, then Daniel Cormier shouldn't get in because he couldn't beat Jones. So it doesn't matter. One half does the other. Yeah, one half does the other.
That's just the. I mean, if the money's right, man,
they'll come out.
I think about it. I think long on. Is he? You got to. If he's got kids and he's got a wife, maybe that's But if he's got nothing but the fight, if he's got nothing but the game, I think he's only 30.
Yeah.
If all you've got is fighting, man,
go for
and the money's good, why not? One more fight. It's a big fight.
Go for it.
If you can push it back to like 2022, you can have a big atmosphere. You can do it at MGM, or you can do it at Caesar's Palace or some big venue, and you can have a good crowd.
Well,
why not?
How about they do it in Abu Dhabi? I mean, that would be
do it in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, that'd be a good. Yeah.
I mean, then there would be a lot of us that have to get up at the crack ass of dawn to watch the pay-per-view because they start at like 9 o'clock in the morning over there. But yeah,
unless they did I think they're 15 hours ahead of us,
something like that. Yeah.
And if they wanted, so it would be like 12 would be 8 a.m. So the fight would be like at noon their time, noon local time, to have an 8 o'clock go here.
Yeah, because I think the last pay-per-view that was there, it started at 9 o'clock in the morning. The pre-card was at 9.
Right.
I think the main event was Khabib. I think that was at like 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon here. Yeah. So again, that most likely would be the main draw anyway. So yeah. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to jump to the NHL. It looks like they're planning on starting the season January 1st of next year. Or now again, they were starting December 1st, but they decided to go to January.
I've heard different things on that.
Okay.
Because I've heard as far back as February.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, obviously, they want to get it started as soon as possible. But then again,
Right.
as we know, being that we're both big hockey fans, it's a grueling sport. I mean, you
It
can't
really is.
you can't. I mean, what is it? The season usually starts in what, October, which we're usually right now. We're at the start of the season.
Yeah. Where are you 2 weeks into the season normally?
So then what? It ends in what? Just before June, April.
In early June, usually.
So if you ended the season just what, a month ago, 2 months ago, let's see the
Yeah, because it ended at the end of August.
So
Yeah,
December, that's a quick turnaround.
it really is. It's a brutal turnaround.
I mean, basketball too is, they're talking about starting that one up early too. I mean, but then if you see, I guess it wouldn't matter, but because if they shorten the season, it would be okay. So if they only play 70 games in the NBA, you get a shorter season. But then again, still, that fatigue factor would be there.
Right, even if you're looking at, you got to get it done now, so you can do all your pre-season stuff.
Right.
You've got to get a plan in place. Where are we? Are we going to do a bubble again? Are we going to do like the MLB, wherever, like the NHL or NFL and MLB? How are we going to play the games? Are we playing 72, 82, 51, 27? I really think the best bet would be to target late December for your opening of training camp, both NHL and MLB, and start this season February 1st.
Okay.
And play a 48-game season.
I wouldn't argue with you that at all. That would not be fine with me.
Especially if you're really worried about what I heard the holdup on the NHL, and I don't know about the MLB because I don't, or NBA because I don't follow that like I do the NHL, and I don't listen to the media, and I'm not as plugged into the MLB, NBA. If I could speak English, it would help on a talkie show. Bring me on here and I can't even talk.
That's okay.
What? Stick your mic in my face like I just won the Super Bowl or something. I'm going to Disney World.
Yeah, that's right. Come down here. I'm not too far. I'm only an hour and a half away.
Right? But anyway, to get back on track, what I've heard the big holdup is fans. Some places are allowing fans. Some places aren't. Some places are only allowing, like Florida, like Tampa Bay. You can have full capacity.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Philly, Detroit, Boston, New York, Chicago, anything on the West Coast is anything on the left coast, if you will. Seattle, that new team in Seattle, they're not supposed to start until 2022, right?
Right. Yeah, they're I think, Bud, they're in the 2021, 2022.
So it would be next fall.
Next fall. Yep.
And like Vegas, are they going to have fans? And that's and then if they're not going to have fans, do you have a bubble situation where you have 5 or 6 cities around the country that can have fans, and everybody goes and then, okay, we're going to do this bubble thing again where we're going to have a certain number of fans. And, as I've been to a sporting event during COVID, and it was different. It was the same, but it was different all at the same time. So I just don't know with the
you're right, but it depends on fans. I mean, like I was talking earlier about the NBA, they don't get fans next season. You're going to lose $4 billion. I mean, again, that's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's
Yeah, I mean, that's insane. You think about it.
Right. An individual team might be able to operate without fans for a given period, maybe a season. Like, because we know every team struggles, like Orlando could survive a season with no fans, right?
Right.
And not to pick on Orlando, but or Charlotte. Let's go with a more historically bad team in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They might be able to survive a season or two at where the rest of the NBA is doing well, and they can pick them up because of revenue sharing and whatnot. But when you have all the teams operating without fans and operating at a potential loss, that's when it becomes difficult.
Right. Yeah, no.
Adjusting
That, yeah, no doubt about that. And, it's going to suck. Obviously, me, myself, have also been to a sporting event, and now I've been to a game with fans and without fans. And I can say that seeing a sporting event without fans is bizarre beyond belief. Even if you have a bad team that doesn't draw a lot of attendance to begin with, still, there's still people there. And whether
Right.
they're there for that team in particular or they're there for the opposing team, they're there. But
Right.
to go to a game and not have one single fan in the stands was,
Weird.
beyond weird. I mean,
Was it? Would you say surreal?
surreal. I mean, it was like a horror movie. I mean, really, like we were in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and
Right.
we're watching a football game and there's nobody there because they're all dead or something. Who knows?
Because they're not allowed to be there.
Right. So it's an absolute, it was very surreal. I mean, I'm happy that the last game I went to, even though there was minimal fans there, still
There was somebody there.
there was somebody there. So, yes, I mean, really, it's going to be interesting, Bud. You're right. Now, I've heard, too, I don't know if you've seen it or not, that, Canada, there you go. Canada
Everyone's a Canadian.
doesn't want to start the season and have teams travel across the border, which
Right.
means they would have an all Canadian division where they would just play each other in their division. They wouldn't cross over into the U.S. So
Yeah.
I think the NHL, I thought the other day, I thought I saw some, maybe I had it on my show last week, which I had technical difficulties. You couldn't see me because the screen was just blue. You couldn't see me. You could hear me talking, but you couldn't see me. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to shut this off because I'm not going to keep doing a show if you can't see me.
Right.
And I believe, Bud, that there was something in the mix that they were going to have an all-Canadian. Oh, the Packers scored a touchdown. They were going to have an all-Canadian conference or division where they won't cross over.
In the NHL?
Yeah, but then here's the question I have with that is then when the playoffs begin, what are you going to do then? Are you going to make the U.S. teams cross the border, or are you going to make Canada cross in the United States? That's my
Would
question.
it be another bubble situation where you have it like they did last year?
Probably.
Yeah.
If things don't get better here, I mean, whoever, again, gets elected, whatever the hell happens with that,
Right.
if they don't get it fixed before the middle of next year, I think you will see a bubble again in maybe all of sports, maybe even football too. I hate to say that, but that could possibly be another thing. Because let's look at San Francisco, for example, where they have 3 or 4 guys on the COVID list. That just happened just this week. So there you go with that. So, yeah, I agree with you, but I think it's going to come down to if there's going to be fans allowed in the stands in certain cities, they're going to be able to do that. So let me go. The next topic what I have is about the XFL. And I got this from Yahoo Finance about, so here is the average promising viewership from the XFL, the AAF, and the NFL. So now, week 1 of the XFL, they got 3.3 million viewers. By week 2, they were down to 3.29 million. The AAC, or I'm sorry, the AAF, excuse me, was 2.9 million on their debut. They were 1.02 million on week 2. The NFL averages 16.5 million viewers. So, with that in mind, I know it's coming back because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson bought the league. It's going to come back. I don't know what he's going to do because, again, even 3 million is a good number. I mean, really,
that's a great number.
That's a good number of people watching your sport. It's better than what the AAF did. I just don't know, Bud, what he's going to do because, again, it's not coming back till 2021. They've already announced, 2022 will be the first season. So they're not even going to be playing next year. So here's the question now. Can they sustain the 3 million viewers that they have, or is it going to be like it is with the AAF? You're going to lose as the weeks go on. You're going to lose viewership. I don't know. I can't. I mean, I've been to 2 games myself, and here in Tampa, and they like the team in Tampa. There was a lot, but then I was told by a guy who's a season ticket holder for the Bucks, who bought season tickets for the Vipers. He said that the ticket agents gave him 20 tickets, free tickets to hand out to fans, just to get people to come in the building. So how much longer can you sustain that if that's going on all over the league? I don't know how long you can sustain that. I don't know what The Rock has in mind to keep the league afloat after a year or 2.
TV revenue. It's about you're gonna have to build. You gotta build the factory before you can make the first can of peas.
Right.
It's gonna be a slog for 4, 5, 6 years.
Okay.
You're punching way above your weight class if you think you're gonna take on the NFL.
Yeah. No. That's yeah. I agree.
What you have to do is you have to build brand loyalty in the cities you have.
Okay.
You need to start expanding your market reach, and you have to you have to find a way to structure your season so that it doesn't conflict with the NFL season.
Right.
And your training camps should. If I was The Rock, Mr. Johnson, what I would do is I would schedule the start of my season 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. My preseason would be 2 weeks long, and it would be the 2 weeks after the end of the NFL. My draft would be after the college championship game in so if we're going to come back in 2021, right? So
2022, I think, is
2022. Yeah, excuse me. So after in January of 2021, I would have the draft. I would start training camp in January. So the week after the draft, do the training camps, and then you have 4 weeks of training camp, 2 preseason games after the Super Bowl. Start your season the 3rd week after the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Have a season that goes 8, 10, 12 weeks, something like that. 4 2, 5-team divisions, 4-team divisions. Everybody plays each other twice.
Okay.
You get 8, 10 games in, and your season wraps up on 4th of July. Have your championship game in the 4th of July weekend. And then every 6 or 7 years you get to have the game on 4th of July. You can do it, or you can play the game on. I think I would play the game Saturday night. I would start about 7:30, and so then it's getting done about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and you end with a big fireworks show. You create a buzz, you create interest. You say this is going to be. We're not going out here to compete with the NFL. We're not NFL light. These are our guys. We want them to succeed in our league.
Right.
So you gotta get good players too, and that's where the money comes in. You've got to get some big money investors into it too. You need billionaires. You need 100 millionaires, because if you don't have those guys, you don't have the revenue to take a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields or any of your top running backs that are going to be looking at real NFL money.
Travis Etienne.
Even if you're looking at guys that are going in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, undrafted free agents, and those are going to be your quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, again for the umpteenth million time.
Yeah.
Guys that washed out of the NFL 4 years ago, just trying to make a name and trying to play football one last time.
Yeah.
You gotta have the money to compete. Not just because you're not trying to compete with the NFL as product for product, but you've got to have the NFL level talent,
right? So
that it doesn't just become minor league baseball.
Well, I was gonna say, but if you think about that time of the year, at that time, I would assume, hopefully, by that time, fans will be back allowed, and we'll be back to be able to go to sporting events and stuff. You're going to be competing in the middle of the baseball season, because that's when the baseball season gets exciting. in
But you
July.
have one game.
Right. Correct. Yes, that's true. The championship game. So
No, just one game a week. I meant per team.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. I mean, because again,
So it's not like you're trying to compete on a nightly basis with the MLB.
And most likely you're getting the Yankees or the Dodgers or somebody high on ESPN, because basically that's usually who's on the primetime games. So then you'd have what the NBA would be. I think they're in the middle, or they have not started.
They're wrapping it up.
They're wrapping it up. Okay, so so really hockey would already be over. So you don't have to start competing with the NHL. NFL would start up for another couple months, so you'd be clear of that. I mean, I think for a football fan in general, if you can have football all year round, it would be great. And maybe that's what they would try to do.
And you can go to northern cities to play your championship game. You don't have to play it in Tampa or LA every year. You can play in New York. You can play in Chicago. You can play in Detroit. You can play an outdoor game in Detroit if you want. You can play in places like Milwaukee. So you put a team in Milwaukee. You also have to think about the reason why the NFL targeted the cities it did when it first started. Places like Cleveland, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Where the bleep is Green Bay, Wisconsin?
Yeah,
it's the middle of nowhere. But in 1920, whatever it was, you would have the fact that there was nothing to do on a Sunday afternoon in December, and this is the draw. This is the only game in town, so we might as well go.
Yep.
And then you get the leg, and then in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, maybe not so much in the 70s and 80s, but then in the 90s, the 2000s, even here in the 2010s and 20s, Green Bay is still a huge market for the NFL, not because they're a big, major, mega city, but because they are a home base of an NFL franchise, because they're an important member of the NFL community. And you of course you have to have New York. You should have Detroit. You have to have LA. Miami's a good get. But you also got to think about places that don't have football and don't have major sports. Places like Bismarck, North Dakota.
They're going to North Dakota. Well, other than the Sioux, who are their college hockey team, there is nothing in North Dakota.
Right. And that's a market that, of course, they're not going to have. You're not competing for anybody else. You're not competing for the eyeballs of the MLB, NHL. There's no playoff hockey, and there's no MLB or NBA playoffs in North Dakota, or South Dakota, or Nebraska, like Omaha. You put a team in Omaha, and you've got the whole thing to yourself.
Right. Well, I mean, that always baffles me too, but speaking of hockey, how you have a professional team obviously in Michigan with the Red Wings, who are one of the original six. Minnesota has the Wild, but then you have no professional hockey team in the state of Wisconsin. That's weird to me.
Or even like Omaha would be a good place for a team. Yeah, I mean, hockey's huge in Omaha.
Well, and see, there's the funny thing is that, Seattle obviously got the new franchise. So we've evened it out. So now there'll be an even amount of teams in the East, even amount of teams in the West. They're going to shuffle things around when Seattle enters the league in a couple years. But the thing is, it really baffles me because, again, being that I'm from the South, being that I'm from a southern state, hockey just isn't, well, I am a huge hockey fan. I became a hockey fan when I was in high school. But, I mean, for the people that live here in the state of Florida, you don't think hockey here.
No.
Palm trees and beaches. We don't skate. We don't have ice here. It doesn't snow here. Up in the Panhandle, it snows there. But other than that, we don't have snow this far south, and we have two teams in both hot weather cities. You have a team in Tampa. You have a team in Sunrise, which is about an hour outside of Miami. It never gets cold in Miami. Even when it gets cold here in the 30s, it's like 70 in Miami. So it never gets cold in Miami.
Right.
So, it baffles me, but that Wisconsin never got and you're right. Maybe Omaha. I mean, Omaha, the good thing about Omaha is isn't that where the Little League World Series is at?
Yeah, it is. I was thinking maybe that should be a target city for the MLB for expansion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, well, I'm telling you, the Rays might be moving, so you might see them go to Omaha. Whoever pays, the owner, enough money to move them, unless somebody steps up here in Tampa and takes ownership from Sternberg, I don't think that team's going to be here after. I think the lease is up in 2027 at Tropicana Field.
How
Yeah,
much over two? How
yeah.
much over 2 times do you want for it? That's what I got right now.
Well, I think he said the franchise was worth like $2 billion or 2.2 billion was what he was going to accept. Or he bought the team at 2.2. I don't know what he bought the Rays for from when he bought them, but because they keep winning, that's only going to jack the price up even more. In my opinion, it'll jack the price up even more. So, but what? Yeah, I mean, I
We
would.
got 2 times. We can start the bidding at 2 times.
I mean, as far as I know, Bud, we were just talking. They are going to put St. Louis back on the map in the XFL. So they're going to have, because they lost
That's
the
a
Rams.
good place for a team.
Moved out to Los Angeles, which baffles me that you have two teams in LA, but no teams in Oakland and a team in Las Vegas. So that scratches my head that Oakland isn't going, hey, why can't we have the Chargers? Why can't we have the Rams here? Why don't we move a team to Oakland? But if they can't build a new
They've got to do something with the Coliseum. They need a stadium desperately.
Between the A's and the Rays, I don't know who needs a new stadium more than out of those two teams because both of them need new ballparks.
Right.
And it's not going to happen here because he wants the taxpayers to pay 75% to build the stadium. They're not going to do that. Not with what's going on right now. The economy is not great. So if
pick a finger and I'll give you 4 guesses, but you only need 1.
Yeah. If he was to pay 75%.
Oh,
I think the city would put up the other 25% to build.
I think you could talk to if you were able to if you were willing to come up to 50, we could talk.
50, well, I think they've been the mayor of St. Petersburg, where the Rays play, is not the greatest of people. He's a little bit of an egomaniac himself, so he doesn't see. Here's the thing: they want to put a stadium, obviously, in Tampa, right?
Right.
A lot of people do not know that the Rays actually don't play in Tampa; they play in St. Petersburg. So
across the bay.
They want to build a stadium in Tampa, but then the mayor of St. Pete doesn't want that to happen. He doesn't want the team to leave St. Pete.
Yeah.
Especially go to another city in Florida where you would think, hey, I would love, okay, we could still send, my citizens could still drive to the stadium in Tampa. But obviously that, he's fighting with that. He doesn't want to do it. I guess he doesn't want to do it. I don't have any idea. I don't know.
If you move the team out of St. Louis or out of St. Pete, right? That building becomes just an eyesore. And now you're losing all that you have to demolish it, get somebody to come in and buy that property up and invest in that property, and it'll
be condos real quick. They already have plans for it already. The city already has plans for once the Trop is demolished. The property that it sits on. I think it sits on, I don't know, 200, 300 acres of land it sits on. So they already have plans when they get tore down. When it gets tore down, they already have plans for, and they'll make money off of it because why wouldn't you? The city owns that land. Why would you let it go? I mean, unless like you said, some, outside person comes in there and goes, hey, we'll give you much money and we want the land. Okay, well then we'll sell it off. The city can use the money for something else. Or they can pocket it themselves because all politicians do that anyway. So that's a whole different ball of wax. But anyway, I agree with you, but I think it's going to come down to how the XFL, if they can get major sponsors to get in there to help The Rock.
And it's not just your Budweisers or your Miller Lite. It's people, it's individuals willing to buy teams and invest billions of dollars so that you have, even if Miller Lite comes in and invests $10 million or Samsung drops $50 million, you got 10 teams, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I think
And that's only $5 million, right?
Right.
If you have 50 players on a team, $5 million, it's $100,000 a player,
yeah,
right? I mean, that don't say if somebody came up to me and said, Adam, we love your work. We think you're great at building ovens, and we're gonna give you $100,000 to build our ovens. I'd be gone in a heartbeat. Where do
Yeah.
you want me to sign? Give me the
Right.
dotted line. Here's my soul. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Nope. I'd be right.
But if you're looking at somebody unlike me, somebody who's got potential, even a 4th-round NFL pick, is gonna make good money play one season in the NFL, and you've made more money than you'll ever know what to do with, as long
Right.
as you're smart, as long as you don't go and party and
Antonio Brown.
Little nose candy never hurt nobody.
That's what they say.
Did you ever hear Robin Williams about cocaine? Cocaine
No.
is God's way of saying you have too much money.
God rest his soul. God rest his soul.
I know, right? Funny man.
Yeah, but yeah, so I agree with you. I think when it comes down to it, I hope it succeeds. I really do.
Too. I mean, more football competition never hurt nobody.
Right.
Especially if they're gonna get away from all the political stuff, and it's just gonna be about football and playing football and having fun playing football, I'm all for it.
Well, look, for example, let's look at the WWE, for example. They didn't have any, the WCW was their major competition for years. It went away. They bought it up, and now the AEW seems to be the newest competition. And from what I've heard from a lot of the people that I, consult with when wrestling comes on, that they like AEW. There's a lot of people that love AEW.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the AEW does a lot of difference. AEW offers insurance to their wrestlers.
That's cool.
So now if you get hurt, you're not going to have to pay out the wazoo to find, a doctor or anything like that. So the WWE, you're independent. You're on your own. So if you get hurt, it's on you. So
if you're not providing your own insurance, then
right.
If you're a mid card or low level guy,
right,
you get hurt, you gotta get healed quick so that you can get back on TV, get your bills paid. Yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories about the wrestling business. I liked wrestling back in the day when it was more. What turned me off of wrestling was in the late 2000s. Was it seemed like every match ended in interference, and I couldn't get into the storylines anymore. There was one match in particular, and I believe it was Cena and Kane, and I could be wrong. It could have been 2 other guys. It was Cena and Orton, Kane and Orton. It was a great match. It was going. They were high flying, lots of energy, lots of excitement, and the match is wrapping up, and we're getting towards the end of the TV time, getting ready to go off the air, and somebody hit a finisher. And here comes somebody down from the locker room to get involved. And it wasn't like, and they're not, and my big problem was it wasn't building story. One of the great things about the Attitude Era and even Ruthless Aggression, more inside wrestling, was that it always felt like they were building story. They were building the next pay-per-view or the next week. And these interferences always felt like it was just to kill the momentum. And that's one of the things I quit watching wrestling because I couldn't stand that.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, obviously you're right. During the Attitude Era that was when they were battling with WCW and Monday Night Nitro. The Monday Night Wars were going on between the two. I was a WCW guy. I love Sting. My dream match was to see him face off with Undertaker. Obviously, we're never going to see that now because I really don't want to see 2 50-plus guys wrestle because it's not exciting anymore. It should have happened 30 years ago when they were in their 20s. When as Sting changed into the Crow, the black and white with the matte face paint, it would have been cool to see him face Undertaker at that point. But yeah, I don't want to see that now.
No.
I don't think neither one of them are. I mean, I think Undertaker's almost at the end of his run.
Yeah,
Sting
he hung him up.
tired. So yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I
Go ahead, bud.
I was a WWE guy, but I always liked Goldberg was my favorite wrestler.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
he's another
he was a
W.
WCW guy, but I always liked the Monday Night brand better.
Okay.
I liked the storylines were always more fun. It was a lot more I was a WWE. My dad was a WWE guy, so we watched when we had cable. We watched WWE,
Mm-hmm.
and then for me, it was like I got older and I started working. And I don't have 3 hours on Monday night
To do it, yeah.
even like I could record it, but then by the time I get back to watching it and trying to get into it and trying to watch it, and it's like it doesn't ever. It's like all these storylines are always the flow is always linear, right? The time flows linearly,
Right.
but it never resets, and so I never get a chance to get back into it and find out what's going on. But then when I do, and I try to watch it again, and I'm like, I just these people just aren't fun to watch.
Right.
I mean,
right.
like that's one thing that they don't talk about when you talk about the legends of the WWC or WWE, guys like Stone Cold and Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan. They weren't just great wrestlers. They were great storytellers. They were great performers. Wrestling. People who mock wrestling, who don't like wrestling, will tell you it's fake. It's not real. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's not real. Right. That's okay. Nothing you watch, scripted television, scripted programming, both movies and television, it's not real. Right. Loki and Thor aren't real dudes. Right. Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston aren't actually hurting each other.
No.
It's fake. I know it's fake. That's okay. It's okay for those to be fake. But I'm an idiot for liking wrestling because that's fake.
Yeah. No.
I get it. It's fake. It's not real. But that's okay. It's a story. Tell me a good story. And I always felt like Stone Cold and guys like Rey Mysterio, they were great storytellers. They weren't just great wrestlers. And you got guys like AJ Styles and I don't know any of the new guys half the time anymore. They just aren't great storytellers. Finn Balor is a terrible storyteller. He's a terrible worker.
Right now. He's the NXT champion right now.
Is he? Yeah. I don't connect with him. I don't understand what his character is supposed to be. The one of the Wyatt family for a while were pretty good storytellers. They worked some great angles.
They're back. But it's not quite Bray Wyatt. He's the Fiend. Is what he is.
Right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just never connected from 2006 onward. I never connected with the storylines. Like I love Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan's the best worker since the early 2000s. I'm a big John Cena fan, but mostly that's because of all the hate. Haters gonna hate, and I just like a winner.
Well, that's what happens with winners. Everyone hates a winner. Everybody hates a winner. No one hates a loser. Everyone hates winners.
Unless you're a hometown fan, then
yeah. And Cena's what, one title away from breaking or tying Ric Flair's record?
Yeah. I think he needs one more to tie.
Yeah. So I whatever happened, I don't know. Because Cena's now more of an actor than he is a wrestler. Right. He's becoming The Rock, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, you can't. I'm a huge John Cena fan too. Since he became on the scene, and the Daniel Bryan thing. I think I remember watching. I forget what WrestleMania it was, but he beat Triple H. Then he went on to beat Batista and Randy Orton, I believe, and he won both titles in the same night.
Right.
And actually, the funny thing is, I was watching that pay-per-view, and somebody actually bet me $20. I said, nah, I had Daniel Bryan. I was going to pick Daniel Bryan to win the match. And I'm like, nah, sometimes you're like, I don't know. This is scripted.
Yeah.
I'm not in control over this.
That's a sucker's bet, man.
See, you had won $20. I go, yeah, but I would have lost it had it have gone the other way. Because it could have been scripted that way for him to lose the match.
To set up something later on.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, Daniel Bryan, obviously, he's a lucky punk. He's got Nikki Bella. Bree is his wife. I mean, come on now. I mean, Bree. I think Bree's the better of the two. That's just me, but
I wouldn't mind accidentally myself into that relationship.
No, me either. That would be great. That's fine. All right, bud. Let's real quick.
We can move on.
This is your topic. Now that we have 4 drivers left to win.
All right, I've been jazzing for this. I've been thinking about it all day. Let's get it going.
Phoenix. So you have Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Chase Elliott are the final 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is it going to take for these guys? I mean, obviously, is it Denny Hamlin that has the points lead, right? Is he the right now, or is it Elliott that has the lead? Who's the one that leads?
I think that it all resets to 0 because it's winner take all. The guy that had of those 4, Chase, Brad,
Joe, and Denny. Okay,
they're one of those. If whoever finishes the best of those 4 wins the title.
Okay.
Regardless of where they could all finish, they could finish dead last to 37th or 36th, and whoever finishes 36th is going to be the winner. What is it going to take to be the winner? What it takes every week in every sport: a flawless performance,
right?
Overcoming mistakes, making the fewest mistakes.
Okay.
Phoenix. I was listening to the radio yesterday afternoon on the way home from work, and they were talking about Phoenix races a lot like a road course, and I have to agree with that. And that would, if I had to go out on a limb and pick a favorite, it would really have to favor Chase Elliott. He's won the last 4 road course races in a row. He's 4 for 5 in the last, or 5 for 6, something like that, in the last 6 road course races. And the only race he didn't place top 5 was when he broke transmission.
Okay.
If he hadn't have broke he was on pace to win that race too. So, don't count out Brad Keselowski. He's good at Phoenix. It's going to come down to strategy, fuel mileage. You got 3 stages. The stages don't, it's winner take all. So it really does come down to who makes the fewest mistakes, don't miss a shift, don't speed, get all 5 tight, make sure you get her full. It's the little things, it's the things you don't think about on when you're looking at the box score on Monday morning or Sunday after the race. It'll be lap 37 that'll really decide the race. Nobody will think about it at the time, and it won't. It'll be a simple thing, letting somebody have room, or getting a position when you had a chance to get a position,
right?
Or taking advantage of a sequence of pit stops that got you some track position at the time. It's those things that you're not going to see in the box score, but those are the things that are really going to determine who won the race and ultimately who wins the title.
So you think, but out of those 4, you said that Chase Elliott is who you would pick out of the final?
That's who I really hope so. That's who I want. I want Chase to win. I wouldn't say don't pick the other 3.
Okay.
It's wacky things happen in the playoffs. Doesn't matter what sport. Just last week, Kevin Harvick was had a huge points lead, dominated the regular season, dominated early in the playoffs, won 7 races in the regular season, won 2 races in the playoffs, and missed the final 4 by 7 points.
Okay.
And it shows that you have to be good every race all year long. You can't just coast to a title anymore. Right. You can't build a huge lead and then just back off and run top 10 the rest of the year. Yeah. You have to be good all year at every track to continue to move on in the playoffs and build. And you can't just build a huge points lead and be done with it.
Yeah.
Don't count Denny Hamlin out. Don't count Brad out. Logano. Yeah. They're all 3 of those guys are crafty veterans. They've been around the sport for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott's the outlier. He's the only one under 25. I believe he's 24 this year. I think he was born in 96, so he'll be 24 this year. 95, 96, 97, something like that.
He's with Hendrick, right? He's with Jimmy Johnson, who obviously will be retiring after.
Yeah, one last ride for the 48 for Jimmy Johnson.
So he's part of the Hendrick motor team. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Yep, he's part of the Hendrick stable. Again, it's going to be – it's a tire call. Do you come – who's going to make the right call with 5 to go, 10 to go? Right. Do we have a green, white checker? Is there a late race restart? Who times the restart right? Where are you during the restart? Phoenix is such a unique track. I love Phoenix for the closing race because of how it drives. It doesn't drive like it's a mile-long racetrack, but it's not shaped like your typical mile-long D-shaped oval. So it doesn't drive like New Hampshire or Dover. It's a unique racetrack. It has a unique style, and everything is out there for the taking. And so it's 267 laps of no holes barred. If you got a chance to get a spot, you go and you take it. If you need to.
When is the race? But is it Saturday or is it Sunday?
It's Sunday afternoon. The all 3 series are closing out this weekend in Phoenix. The truck race is Friday night at 7:30. Then there's an ARCA race on Saturday afternoon. I believe it's a 1:00 start, Eastern. These times are all Eastern. And 4:30, the Xfinity rolls off. And then it's a 3:00 start on Sunday afternoon on NBC.
Cool.
So I will be there.
All right then. Real quick, bud. Now we have we're going to get into the top 25 in college football. So we have big games this weekend.
There's some huge games this weekend.
Number 1 versus number 4. Number 5 versus number 8. So you have Clemson versus Notre Dame, Georgia versus Florida, which yours truly will be watching very closely because I'll be at a bar with a buddy of mine who's a big Bulldogs fan. But again, I really honestly can say this. I really honestly can think that I think Alabama should be number 1 right now.
You think so?
I do.
Do you think that's because of the missing without Trevor Lawrence, or?
No, the reason I say that is Alabama, Clemson, they obviously struggled last week, right? They did. They struggled last week. They came from behind. Alabama, I watched Alabama play Georgia a couple weeks ago. They're in another atmosphere.
I watched Alabama absolutely dismantle Tennessee.
Again, they're in another atmosphere again. So for me, I don't understand. Let me add Lewis here real quick. I don't understand how they fit in here. I don't understand how they're not number 1 right now. I don't get that. I don't understand.
I mean, they're probably the best team out there, and Alabama's number 1. I mean, is it me or is this ranking system, screwed up? Well, it probably is anyway.
Well, I agree with you. I did. They have Ohio State at 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Ohio State they only play 2 games. I understand the Big Ten didn't start up right away in the beginning of the season. Right. They're playing catch up. I know that. Then here's the team that really shocks me in the top 10, and they actually hopefully will make the college football playoff, and I know they won't. Is Cincinnati? Right. They're not going to make the playoff because they're not in the top 5 conference.
No.
Unfortunately,
they would need a lot of help.
A lot of help. They'd have to have a meltdown at the top. A meltdown at the top. Yeah. So
they would need.
Yeah, I just don't get it. There's big games this weekend, though. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's some big games coming up this weekend. So, I hope Florida beats Georgia, but again, they've lost the last 3 years. That's hasn't. And then again, that's kind of the knock on Dan Mullen. Someone said the other day that Mullen, just like Jim Harbaugh, not that I hate to bring that up, but he's on the hot seat in Michigan. Dan Mullen, if you can't beat Georgia, you can't beat your rival. They have issues beating their rival team. So how in the world do you expect
Mullen's in trouble
if you can't beat your rival?
Yeah.
To me, that's the one, the one game as a head coach, same. I mean, obviously, we're not gonna, USF's not gonna fight their head coach after year one. But if he can't beat UCF, he's gone. That's you have to beat your rival team to have any shot. I mean, that's just plain and simple.
Yeah.
And Gene Chizik in Auburn, he hasn't beat. I don't think they've only beat Alabama a couple times since he's been head coach.
Once or twice.
Right. Once or twice in there. So you don't have to worry about it when you win. You beat your rivals every year. You don't have to worry about your job. And if you don't, exactly.
Yeah,
you're out of it, completely out of it. So
you're fired.
Yeah, fired.
I don't. Again, that's just. And the top five are Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia. Those are your top five in the country in both polls, in both the coaches poll and the AP poll. So,
what do you find more accurate, though, Bradley?
Honest with you, Lewis, I mean, the coaches poll, they vote differently than the actual poll is voted on. I know we have a committee that votes, obviously, on the poll that is the poll that they follow. I mean, I'm going to ask you guys, with everything going on in 2020, do you think that they should extend the playoff from 4 to 8 teams and have all 5 Power 5 teams in, and then have 3 at-bid teams like the Cincinnati of the world to give them a shot? I mean, wouldn't that be something that I'd be watching that? I don't know if you two would.
Especially if we're not going to have, if a lot of the bowl games are going to get canceled, might as well.
I mean, I would love to
schedule it out, Adam. I mean, they released it on Tuesday. There's, I think they said 39 bowl games that will start on December 19th and go to the minus the championship game till like New Year's weekend. So we are gonna have a bowl season. It's slightly less than previous years, but we are gonna have a pretty much a full bowl season. We got one more.
Well, I mean, again, that's gonna depend too on how. I mean, it would be great. I mean, I would love to see one of these small teams like Cincinnati get in to the college football playoff instead of seeing the same teams that we see. I mean, obviously, we're going to still see the Alabama, the Ohio States. We're going to see those teams. Yeah, we're going to see whoever wins in the Pac-12. I don't know who the favorite. Oregon, is it Washington? Who's the favorite in that conference? So it would be great. I think it would be awesome. How about BYU or somebody else that's one of these small schools that we don't – I mean, we get to see when we're playing the March Madness. When we're in March Madness, we see all these small schools, right? But then in football, it's not that way. Yeah, it's not that way in football. It's whoever, if you're not in the Power 5 conference, forget it. Forget about it. You're not going to be in the bowl game. Well, you're going to be. Yeah.
Well, wait a second, because Notre Dame is in Indy, and they're not part of a conference except for this year. So I mean, I guess they're like the lone exception.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but Notre Dame has pageantry and history, and they always play big schools too. So
Right.
It's not like a Cincinnati who's playing Memphis and USF and and those crummy schools who are just going to run into the Alabama buzzsaw and get destroyed by 50.
True.
As fun as it would be to see Cincinnati get up there and try and make some hay, it's really not going to be a contest.
Well, do you think that out of coincidence that maybe, again, we all know that upsets happen? Do you think that maybe, just maybe, they would upset somebody in a game?
If all the stars aligned and you held your tongue the right way and you had a tuna fish sandwich on Tuesday, maybe.
Well,
but you're asking for a lot there, Brad.
I'm not saying they're going to beat Alabama. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm not even going to go there. But I mean,
mistake.
Yeah, to me, we'll have to see. I know they're not going to extend the playoff, so that's not going to happen.
No.
Well, I have my friend Chuck on here who wants to talk about the NFL, so let's bring him on here. What's going on, Chuck?
What's up, Bradley? What's up, Adam? What's up, Lewis?
Chuck?
Good to see you guys. And of course, the NFL season is COVID. It seems like COVID is all we continue to hear about is the players that missed the games, and of course the Packers are beating up on a third string team right now. It looked like when I came on, yeah, it was pretty bad. Pretty bad when you got to throw guys out there. But you know what? The NFL has done a great job making the games happen. They put them on a bye, and then they come back, they quarantine them, and they've done a great job of us letting us fans enjoy the game this season, and especially since the Bucs are winning. Something I can say I'm very proud of, thanks to Bradley's quarterback there from New England.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Don't magic. Magic, man.
Yeah. It was great. It was great to see Cam fumble last week. In the last closing seconds, I was thinking of him as I think his season came to an end last week. I do think there's so many people in America on this week coming up on Monday Night Football that would love to see the Jets win their first game.
Except Jets fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're battling for the first pick.
This is not the New England this year that we all know. I mean, this is the worst year the Patriots have had since the pre-Brady era. So, given the passive factor, the Jets might have a legitimate shot to beat the New England P-Brains. You want to call them?
Unfortunately for New England or for New York,
right?
Well, when I look at the draft order and how it's going right now, the only way that Bill could pull off something would be to work with something with the Jets to trade a Gilmore to the Jets for a first round pick or some crap like that. I mean, he's sneaky like that because in the beginning of the season, I really thought that New England was going to tank because of all the players who opted out for COVID. Bill could use this excuse to help himself get a lower or get a higher draft pick this year and maybe go after a Justin Fields or a Trevor Lawrence at the quarterback position and start over.
I heard that Lawrence is not the favorite anymore to win the Heisman.
Well, I mean,
missing
because he got out. I think right now I would be leaning more towards Justin Fields because of that easy Big Ten schedule they got. Michigan got beat by Michigan State, for Christ's sake. I mean, Harbaugh needs to leave Michigan right now after this season and just go to the NFL and just pick Jacksonville. He'd be great in Atlanta. He'd be great down. He would bring something.
No.
Huh?
Atlanta's a choke artist. No, don't go there. Do yourself a favor. Don't go to Atlanta.
Well, you know what?
Oops, we blew it again.
Well, if he can choke in my division, I'll be more than happy to have him go to Atlanta. You know what I mean? Be happy to have him go down there in Atlanta.
The choke artist capital of the world. Except the Clippers.
Yeah, they've.
But then, Rick, I heard today on the radio that right on the Ronnie and T-Crash show this morning that they predict that the freaking Falcons are going to beat the Bucs at least one of those two games. To me, I don't see that happening, but that's what they said on they said on that don't expect that not to happen, that the Falcons will beat them at least one of those two games.
Well, there's a big there's some hostility going on because Dirk Cutter, the former Bucs coach, is over there, and then you've got Raheem Morris, who is now the head coach. Who used to be the head coach for the Bucs. So I'm pretty sure it'd be a fun sight for those guys. But also, the last game of the season, I do believe, is the Falcons and the Bucs, and so they might rest everybody. So there you go. Whoever made that prediction made a pretty good prediction because I bet you that's what's probably going to happen or whatever. So,
here's the question I have. Drew Brees is injured so are we going to see Jameis on Sunday night?
Possible.
I didn't see that report yet. I mean, is that something that you think that he might not play?
Well, he was limited in practice again today. He's been suffering from a shoulder injury.
Mm.
I don't really know if they'll go Taysom Hill the entire game. I don't know, but it would be just absolutely funny if Jameis comes back to play the Bucs in Raymond James Stadium. That would just be a storybook for him to come back to play the Bucs.
Well, if he
For
right now, he's going to be doing like I do. He's holding the clipboard. That's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be holding the clipboard because no matter what, if Drew Brees is not starting and the other guy starts, I mean, he'll probably still be the backup just in case because if he doesn't get any practice or reps in, Michael Thomas, he's questionable still, limited in practice. The Saints, the thing about the Saints is they beat the Bucs the first game of the season. And I think Bradley and I talked about this. I did not like that schedule when it came out because you're throwing a team that is a polished 3-time division champion. You're putting Brady under fire, playing in New Orleans, the no chemistry game, and they got beat, and he threw a pick six. And the first 3 weeks of the season, all you heard was Brady's washed up. Bucs suck.
Yeah.
He's not doing it. And now he won the offensive player of the month of October, throwing 15 touchdowns and 1 pick. So,
pretty good for a one-step-old man.
Yeah. Adam, what's your football team?
New England, Detroit.
New England, Detroit. Lewis, who you like?
You sure you want to say it here, or should I take the 5th?
No, go ahead and say.
Bradley knows. Okay.
They're playing the Patriots on Monday Night Football.
The Jets are one, and the Cowboys are the other. And
Okay,
I have an alternate team as well.
Yeah, well, I like the Jets because you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, I think about the Jets. I always think about I'm going back to Mark Gastineau days, back in the days when they had the defense. I mean, and Joe Klecko and all those guys, and then the only thing a lot of Jets fans will just always continue about drunk at the bar, the Mark Sanchez butt fumble. That'll be the thing a lot of them will talk about.
Got 2 AFC title games. Okay, we didn't win, but at least we got there. And at least we weren't taken seriously. We weren't considered a joke. Now we're like, trash city. And this is like the Jets of the early '90s when they were 1-15. That was bad enough. I mean, I think we're seeing a repeat of that. I mean, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Is Gase just not doing the job right? Is the players who is the real problem? Or what is rather?
Well, the only thing that I can predict, if that guy does not get fired this season from the Jets, I have no clue what kind of blackmail or bribery he has on the ownership there in New York. You know what I mean? I have no idea how he holds that job. Everybody that I've been on groups and talk about, they wanted Gase gone after the 3rd week. I mean, if they got rid of Dan Quinn, why didn't they get rid of Gase?
Yeah.
Well, we really have to say about this because that's Black Monday. So,
yeah. I mean,
I don't understand how he still has a job.
Yeah.
I thought. You see, the reason I thought Adam Gase I thought it was Miami, because I looked at Ryan Tannehill and I said, I like him. He's got a nice upside. I think he could go somewhere else and be productive. Goes to Tennessee, he's productive. I was like, okay, so let's see what Adam Gase can do oh my God.
I think we're all in agreement here on this, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I mean, you think about the Lions. You said you like the Lions, and that's another team that has. Man, they had high hopes there for a little bit. I really thought that they were going to beat the Colts. I thought they were going to beat the Colts, and they just laid a golden egg against the Colts. And
well, you know what? They're not terrible. I mean, they're kind of like mediocre at best. But they're pretty good at the Lions that they're going to do so far. I mean,
you know what? The whole key to the Lions was the Patricia. If he gets fired, I think he'll go back to New England. I think he will. He'll go back to New England because he knows it's a rebuilding. Some of these guys are going to go back to New England because they know Bill's going to go into rebuilding mode. I don't think that Josh will leave again. I think he's just going to sit there and wait for Bill to retire. As long as Bill holds Josh Daniels there and runs the offense or whatever. He's just going to hold him there. And then the guy out of Kansas City will be the first big guy to leave. Eric Bieniemy, he'll be a head coach. Right now, I'm predicting him to go to Houston. I think he's going to be with Deshaun Watson. I think that'll be a great fit for him to go to Houston and do that job. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Lynn will get another shot for the Chargers. They've lost some close games, but I mean, if you have a reputation
another year
not being able to close out games, and you trade Desmond King, which made no sense to me, that just lets me know that ownership is now going to probably unload some of these top guys and start all over with a new coach and build around Herbert. And Herbert
looks like
Herbert looks like the real deal. He's the real deal right now.
I agree with that.
I think he should win Rookie of the Year.
Well, you got a guy Burrow over there in Cincinnati, and he pulled off that big win against Tennessee this past week. And that kid has been throwing for over 300 yards. And like I said,
he's a gem. I thought he was a great. Cincinnati actually didn't whiff on one for once.
Yeah, you're right about that because
they're not as bad as people think. I mean,
I don't think so.
Yeah,
they need some defensive help. I really think they need to shore up the defense.
Yeah,
maybe a corner, and some weapons. Maybe a tight end, a good tight end, a good pass catching tight end.
I think Cincinnati needs to take a lesson from the Carolina Panthers coach. He drafted all defenses this past year. And the Titans actually were a 3-2 football team, and they've lost like now 3 in a row, but they play some good teams. But now he's playing 5 or 6 rookies on defense, and he's got the LSU guy who should be a head coach here pretty soon that helped Joe Burrow become who he is. He's helping Teddy Bridgewater and move that Panthers offense, and they did all this without McCaffrey.
And once McCaffrey comes back, look out.
He's coming. Yeah. He's coming back this week, and
is he back this weekend?
I've got some guys telling me right now that they're going to beat the Chiefs. I'm like, all right.
No, come on, what are you crazy?
Hey, all right. Wait a minute. Let me get my beer can out. Yeah, I think they was hitting the bottle too a little bit too much or whatever too as well.
I already had one for the night.
Yeah. So yeah. So
another one now.
Yeah, those are some things that I just laugh and think about. I was like, okay, but anyway. So if you look at, I wanted to come on and really talk about the NFL picture. I appreciate the Clemson love that Bradley was not giving us a chance with the number 1 recruit quarterback from California. Now he's got his first thing into there. They're going to Notre Dame. I'm gonna tell you something. I live in Indiana, and I'll tell you something. This game has been the most the whole state is wanting Clemson to come into Notre Dame and beat the living shit out of them after what they did in the playoffs, 31-0 when they smoked them. I would not be surprised if Notre Dame pulled the upset, but because Clemson is missing their linebacker too as well, I think they're missing two starters on defense because of this too as well. But I really do think they've got too much talent to lose to Notre Dame, and even the whole NCAA is talking about even if Clemson loses to Notre Dame, they got a chance to play them in the ACC championship game. The whole football season has sucked when it comes to the Big 12. I mean, there's no team in there that deserves to play for the Oklahoma. All them guys, they're just sucky. They're just terrible. Alabama is, like you said, the class of the class with the wide receiver and the quarterback. The quarterback's on fire. He could win the Heisman for Christ's sake. Yeah. And LSU is garbage. We all know this. Georgia will probably more like play Alabama again in the SEC thing. But and I love the fact that you guys were saying Cincinnati. I mean, I would think that if somebody runs the table undefeated, they could actually be in the playoffs this season because, like you said, Bradley said, the Big Ten started off really late. So now you've got schools, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and a wild card. That's what it's going to be. And why not give a small school like a Cincinnati that might go undefeated a shot if that's the case? You know what I mean? Be good for college football if you ask me.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just hate that they come out of the conference that USF is in, so that's just the only problem I have with it. But then again, on the flip side of it, it's not UCF, so that's okay with me. If it's
Right.
Cincinnati, so be it. It's not UCF. I'm okay with that.
As long as Cincinnati does run the table.
Yeah. How you been doing down there, Bradley, as far as the game coverages and stuff? Has everything been cool as far as going in there and covering the
Yeah,
game?
Rick, I've been to 2 games. The first game that they won, the only game that USF has won so far, there were no fans in the stands at Raymond James Stadium. And as I was telling Adam earlier before you came on, that it was eerie. It was like watching a horror movie. Like,
Which one?
Yeah, I mean, any of them. I mean, it's just like a script to a horror movie. You don't have any fans there. They're pumping in sound. And then, the last game I went to against Tulsa, which I think was 2 weeks ago on a Friday night, USF, the thing with USF right now is we don't have a quarterback. Jeff Scott doesn't have the guy that he needs to run this offense. Charlie Weiss Jr. does not have the guys that he needs right here in Tampa. Now, the problem with that is he's not going to be able to recruit. And again, when you can't recruit, when you have the Florida State, Miamis that are going to get all these kids, decent high school kids here in this state and other states as well, it's going to be hard for Jeff Scott to build any kind of team here. Charlie Strong left the program in shambles. I mean, I hate to say that. Charlie Strong left the program in shambles. We were 2 years ago, USF was 7-0 going into this week. Because I remember going to watch the Georgia-Florida game, and I was watching the USF-Houston game, and that's when the wheels fell off. USF lost 6 games in a row, including a home bowl game, right here at Raymond James Stadium, and they lost to Tulane. Marshall. They lost it right here in Tampa. The following year, they won like 2 games, I think, or 3 games in Charlie Strong's final year here. And trust me, by the time that we got to the UCF game, they were calling for his job. You go to the media, we go in, for the press conferences. After the game, you'd have people going, "Oh, hey, Charlie, this guy wants you gone. That guy wants you gone. What's your response?" And he would just sit there and give the college answer. I'm still coaching until I get the word from Michael Kelly. I'm still here coaching. So that was his answer. So
they're probably too, Shoot.
Yeah.
I said that the problem with, and I harped on this all of last season, and I'll harp on it again because I think it's important, is that the problem isn't recruiting in Florida, because 90 of the players on the USF roster were from Florida. The problem is that he's not recruiting in the North. Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine, those places that are cold and miserable in October, November, December. You give me a shot to go down to Miami? I'm on it. You said you're from Indiana? Indiana sucks in late November. It's cold and it's wet and it's snowy and ugh.
Well, lucky this week it's 75 degrees. It's 75 degrees all week in Indiana. So that's the thing about Indiana. You never know about the weather in Indiana. That's what makes it funny living here. It could be snowing during race Indy 500 week just for a day or two, and everybody's freaking out in May because we got snow, and then it'll be 95 degrees at Christmas time, and we'll just be like, okay, here we go. And next thing you know, get ready for the flu season. It's going to be 38 degrees next week after this week or whatever. So that's
right. But that's it's like, it's not, of course, he's not going to be able to recruit 3 and 4 and 5-star athletes in Florida.
No.
They're going to go to Georgia. They're going to go to Alabama. They're going to go to Clemson. They're going to go to the Florida schools. If you got any kind of, depending on what you want to do with your life after football, if you have a football career, you want to go to somewhere, some kind of prestige, so you can maybe parlay that into an NFL career, or you want to hang that trophy on your wall at your dentist office, whatever you do after football. And if you're living in Montana in the middle of godforsaken nowhere, and, Scott Frost comes and says, hey, Miami is nice this time of year. Miami is nice every time of year.
That's Manny
Not
Diaz.
really. What about hurricane season? No.
We have a hurricane coming this way, so it's gonna be here this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a category 1? We don't even get out of bed for category 1.
No, we don't.
We sit on the dock of the bay drinking margaritas, watching the storm roll in.
Why not? Even a
You're right.
That's the only way to do it.
I lived in South Alabama for a couple of years, and we'd have tornado, whatever that is. We'd have hurricane warnings, once a month, at some points once a week, and everybody like, okay, if it's not a category 3, we're not getting up. We're just gonna load our shotguns and see what happens.
Wind and rain. That's it.
Yeah.
Wind and rain.
Yeah.
All right, getting back to the NFL.
Okay.
This past week there was a particular game that could really affect the playoffs in the AFC. A lot of people thought the Browns were going to beat the Raiders. The Raiders went into Cleveland and beat the Browns. They did. So that really helps the tiebreaker with the Raiders right now, because if I break down the picture in the AFC right now, you've got Buffalo, who's pretty much going to win that division.
Probably.
You've got the Colts and the Titans right now tied with each other.
Mhm.
You've got the Chiefs and the Raiders now kind of there at the forefront, and then you've got the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns all right there, and the Dolphins as an outside shot. Their season comes down to this week. If they're able to pull an upset out in Arizona and go to 5-3, then the Dolphins really have a good outside shot based on the fact that they got the Jets in that division and the Patriots in that division to sneak up and get a couple wins there and help them out.
Right.
But if you look through the NFC picture, it's going to come down to I think it's going to come down to the Washington football team and the Eagles. Somebody's going to be a losing record is going to come out of that division. We already know it. It's either going to be 7-9 or it's going to be 7-8-1. It's going to be a losing record out of that NFC East division. And I think after the Giants lost that heartbreaking game to the world champion Buccaneers on Monday night, thanks to that great Antoine Winfield play with his elbow. But anyway, Green Bay right now they're winning. Their defense, of course, everybody knows how their defense plays. Sometimes they show up. They didn't show up down in Tampa a few weeks ago. And then the Bears, I just can't see the Bears. I think the Bears with Foles have really looked like trash. I mean, really, really look like trash. And their schedule's starting to get tough now. So I would not be surprised to see Mitch come back as a starter, because you got to do something with this guy, because you're either going to let him walk for nothing, or you're going to have to let him showcase what he can do in order to trade him to somebody, because if not, he's going to walk and you're not going to get nothing for him.
There's nothing to trade him for. Back in football, maybe.
This is why I give the Cowboy fans so much drama, because I just said, guys, you got a hell of an offensive team. You saw what Dak did. Dak with it. Why not go after a Darnold? Why not go after a Trubisky? Why not go after a Fitzmagic?
Great.
Why did you not do this? You know what the Cowboy fans tell me? Well, if we make the playoffs, we're going to get beat in the first round. Why not let us lose and get a top 5 pick? That's when we got Zeke a few years ago. So that's some of their fans base, because they were already in the Super Bowl. Every year we're Super Bowl bound. Next thing you know, here we are sitting there 2-6, and you got a Mike McCarthy who's basically I think he's lost control of the locker room right now. I do. Because why? Look who you signed. You signed criminals. You signed thugs. You signed old washed up guys. You've got Mike Nolan, who was one of the most hated guys when he got fired out of San Francisco or whatever. And you're trying to switch to a 3-4 defense, and you drafted an offensive powerhouse with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Zeke, and Dak was going to run your show. And then you're going to – Cowboy fans always blame everything. Got offensive lines down or whatever. you don't see Bucks doing this because we're used to it. I mean, he didn't play. You know what I mean? Well, next man up, next man up. You know what I mean? You get tired of looking at press conferences for Dirk Cutter, and he's like, well, we gave it our best and we lost, and that's bottom line. You know what I mean? So Tampa and New Orleans, I think all of us can agree they're going to be in the playoffs. Whoever wins the division, this game is crucial as far as tiebreakers go. And then you got the NFC West. We're at the point now where we're seeing the 49ers. I just think they got too much injuries to come back to make a playoff run. If Jimmy G's out for 6 weeks, Kittle's out for 6 weeks, their schedule's brutal. They're getting ready to get into their whole division mix, playing Seattle, the Rams, and the Cardinals. So that really leaves us, if you think about it, the NFC playoff picture is pretty well set. You know, you've got Eagles or Washington winning the division. You got Green Bay. You got Tampa, New Orleans.
Yes.
And then you got 3 teams out of the NFC West, just like it used to be in the NFC South. You got Seattle, Arizona, and the Rams more than likely coming out to be that 7 teams in that playoff game. So we harped on it this past week about the games coming up. Big game in Buffalo this week, Seattle and Buffalo.
Oh, that was a bad pick.
Jamal Adams is coming up.
Right.
Yeah. My son was screaming in that thing. They must have had an interception again. Right. Packers.
Yeah. There's a flag. It may be coming back.
What's the score right now?
14-3.
14-3. Yeah, at least they got 3. Yeah. But if you got Seattle and Buffalo, it's going to tell us how good Buffalo really is, I think, because the Seattle's defense has been the worst defense in the league, but they also got the number 1 offense in the league. It's just like Peyton Manning's season. You got the best quarterback, which is Russell Wilson right now, making all the plays. With DK Metcalf is turning into a slowly but surely he'll be probably top 3 wide receiver after this season based on what we've seen so far this year with Russell. The Ravens coming off that hard loss to the Steelers, they got to go play here in Indianapolis against the Colts, and this is going to be interesting because a lot of those players with COVID, I don't know if the Ravens are going to have those players playing in this ball game. And then this will be the Bears' last shot for me. If they do not figure out if they can pull out a win in Tennessee, you might as well write off their season. I actually have Tennessee scoring over 30 points for the first time against the Bears this week. So I hope that they do that because it makes me look like a genius, because I've never seen the Bears defense is great when it's great, but the only reason why it's great is when the offense is scoring points and putting pressure on the other team. And of course, the Saints-Bucks game, we already know about that. It's the biggest game. We just got done with the Steelers and Ravens. Now the Steeler fans are talking so much garbage. You saw the Ravens ran up 200-something yards against them rushing the ball. I don't know how you can talk so much garbage with that rush defense that they have, because Tennessee had you. They were going to go to overtime. They were going to beat the Steelers. They had them. They came back from 24-7. And to me, Tennessee is still lethal with Derrick Henry back there in that backfield. Anytime you got a premier running back with him, and that division, the Titans and Colts have to play twice over the next final 8 weeks. Yeah. The Bills have to play the Cardinals next week. So the Cardinals,
Arizona is the dark horse. No one talks about that, how good that football team really is. Yeah. I don't think Miami beats them this week. I think Kyler Murray is starting to show why he was picked so high. I think really they're not going to overtake Seattle in that division, but I really think in the end they're going to be the second best team in the AFC or the NFC West. Excuse me. Yeah, they right now they're the dark horse. No one talks about them, and they put together. I mean, again, they beat the crap out of the Cowboys a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football. So they're a young team. They have a young coach and a young quarterback, but they have Larry Fitzgerald. So there you go.
And defense looks good.
And their defense is good too. So
you got Bill O'Brien too. I mean, he's not coaching anymore for a reason, because that trade was ridiculously stupid.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? DeAndre Hopkins going to Cardinals. And many, I don't know about you guys, but many of us picked the Cardinals as a wild card team because Hopkins is going to make Kyler Murray better big time. And then we saw the improvement with his offense, Kingsbury or whatever his name is. We saw his improvement with his offense last year. So, and then of course Seattle, after they play Buffalo, they have to go and play the Rams. So we've got 2 games. You know, these 2 teams are playing each other this week. Then they're going to play the Rams in their division, and we're going to see, because right now, to me, Aaron Donald is still the best defensive player in football because he can take over a game just by eliminating 2 or 3 offensive linemen and freeing up everybody else to play their game. That game against Washington was ridiculous. I mean, he just basically he killed everybody that game or whatever. And then the following week, as we go into we move on, you've got the Cardinals and the Seahawks. So here you go. This stretch right here is very important for playoff positioning. You've got the Cardinals and the Seahawks hooking up to play 3 weeks later, and then you've got the Chiefs and the Raiders in a rematch game. That'll be a big game. And the Rams, coming off that great game against Seattle the following week, they have to come to Tampa to play the Bucks. So this is where I'm gonna throw bugs in you guys' ears when you think about, down the road. You're saying you're listening to Bug Flair talk about the Chiefs play the Raiders on Sunday Night Football. The Rams play the Bucks on Monday Night Football. The following week, it's the Chiefs and the Bucks. Wow! Whoever made that schedule, they get to play Sunday. We got to play Monday. We got to come back and play Sunday. So, whoever made that schedule is a Brady hater this year. That's all I can say. Yeah. Every game I looked at, I said, there's just no way our schedule should have been this way. And everybody won. They still don't know why the Bucks didn't get scheduled with New England, just for the hell of it. Next year it'll probably be there if Brady does not retire. I see him retiring. If he wins the Super Bowl, I don't think Brady comes back. I don't think Gronk comes back. No, I really don't. Yeah, no. I really don't. I don't think those guys are going to come back at all. And then the Titans get their shot. They play the Ravens. Mm-hmm. So that'll be a great positioning game because you got to remember the Colts and the Titans will be battling to see who's that number 1 team. And then you got the Ravens also in that mix because only one team gets the number 1 seed in a bye, and that's probably more than likely going to be Pittsburgh unless their schedule is so easy because as I reeled off all the games the Chiefs have to play, the Chiefs are playing the Bucks, they're playing the Raiders, they're also having to play the Saints in New Orleans next to the last game of the season, which could be huge for them too as well. So and the Steelers, their toughest game right now is Buffalo.
Yes,
that's their toughest game right now. And if they was to lose to the Cowboys this week, I we'll see all the Cowboy fans come back out. And I hope Dallas gives them a good game. That's all I can say because I think they done got rid of that quarterback that played on Monday night, Verducci or whatever his name is. Yeah, they got rid of him. They got Gilbert playing this week as far as that goes. And then the Rams, I will say this: the Rams do play the Steelers. They'll be playing in like 4 weeks from now. The Rams and the Steelers. That'll be a pretty good matchup too as well. That week is really the week 12 of NFL has probably the best games because you've got the Rams and the Steelers, you've got the Titans and the Colts, you got the Chiefs and the Bucks, you've got the Bears and the Packers, and then this is the big key game right here: Seattle at the Eagles on Monday Night Football.
Yes.
Because see, now you got the Eagles who are really trying to control their destiny by playing these teams. But I'm going to give you guys something. The last game of the season, this could not be played out more perfectly, is the Washington football team at Philly, the last game of the season.
Uh-huh.
So that game right there could be the showcase game to where who wins the division. Is it going to be the team that rallying around the coach Ron Rivera and the cancer and everything? Because we've seen this before. Chuck Pagano, we've seen it with Bruce Arians. We've seen it before. They've been rallying and He's still sticking with Kyle Allen. I'm kind of leery to see if Alex Smith will ever come back and take that position. I think if Kyle Allen cannot win, they need to think about putting Alex Smith out there. If you really think about it, he's got it. You got to give him a shot. It's just like telling my son that he's too small to play football, and I get mad and tell the coach. I say, well, he's the fastest kid out here. Why not play him at running back? Oh, he's too small. He can't. He might get hurt. Okay, so I bitch about it, and guess what they do? They put him in at practice time to play running back, but they never put him in the games to play running back because they're afraid he's going to get his ass kicked or whatever. So now my son gave up football because of the fact that he just focused on basketball now. So those are things that. But the last game of the season, the Steelers are probably going to rest everybody because they play the Browns. That's why I'm saying that Browns got a little boost there because Steelers will rest everybody and the Browns win that, and that would be a garbage game that the Browns could pick up. And if the Raiders are, even if they finish tie, the Raiders still on the tiebreaker with them. So depending on how that season goes. And then here's another big game at the last game of the season. The Cards at the Rams. See,
that's a huge game.
That's a huge game right here for the Rams, and that's why I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I was not big on the Rams this season. I really wasn't. I think the reason why the Rams were able to turn it around was the fact that they signed Jalen Ramsey to that huge contract, which cut out a lot of drama about what they were going to do in Los Angeles, but they laid a goose egg in Miami this past week. I mean, they just got destroyed on both sides of the ball. I mean, special teams, turnovers, and Goff. I tell you what, I told somebody this past week, I think that Goff, Wentz, and Trubisky are the same guys. They just sometimes just transport each other's bodies the way they play because they show flashes some moments, and the next thing you know, they're out there slinging garbage. I mean, that's all you can do. And that's why I said, even if the Rams do make the playoffs, the one thing they got is experience. I will say that the Cardinals don't have any experience. The Bucks don't have any experience. The Saints have lost 3 years in a row, and I really think that's one reason why that they are having a down season, because in the back of their mind, a team gets in the playoffs these 3 straight years. In the back of their mind, are they going to be motivated to push themselves in the playoffs or even make the playoffs? I still have concerns with the Saints. I really do. I think their defense has not played up to par. I think Drew Brees, we've seen that. We know this is his last year. We know this is. There's no way he's coming back.
More than likely, yes.
There's no way he's coming back. And I, Bradley talked about Winston. I'm one of the most guys that was really, as long as he was my quarterback, I was supporting him or whatever.
Right.
And I think the guy was so stupid to sign with the Saints, and especially when he says, I want to learn behind a legendary quarterback, when you got Tom Brady playing with freaking Tampa, and you could have dropped your ass down and sit on the bench for Tampa for less than $1 million and learn from Tom Brady, which I thought was the smart thing to do. If he really was smart, he would have not even signed with the Saints. Can you imagine what kind of Cowboys would be looking at to get Winston to come in there and play football?
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine the Jets, seeing their frustrations? Let's just go out and get Winston. Can you imagine a team like the Bears, Denver? Denver is a great. I thought about Denver when Locke went down. I said, man, Winston could be in Denver right now, playing ball. Here he is sitting on the bench talking about he's going to learn a system behind a great. And I thought it was a slap in the face, not only to Tom Brady, but also to the Bucs organizations who stuck with the guy, paid him $20 million in his final year. And you saw the turnovers, 38 turnovers, 38 turnovers. And now the New York Giants fans are crucifying Jones, which I think is very, very wrong to do. I ain't gonna say he's a savior, but give that
I
guy
don't think he's
a
that
running
bad.
back, give that guy a defense. Can he perform at a high level when he has everything around him? Right now, he has more turnovers than Jamarcus Russell. More
Yeah,
turnovers in his career than Jamarcus Russell. And we all know how bad Jamarcus Russell was. He's down there. He's down there right now with Bradley, probably sitting across the state lines and selling moonshine and stuff like that down there in Alabama and Louisiana and stuff like that, making a living. So yeah. But anyway, the NFL season, there's some great games heading down the stretch. The Saints have to play the Eagles. The Eagles have a hard schedule, and it would not be surprising to me if the Washington football team does win that division, and if the Cowboys miraculously was to make a run, which I can't see it happening because their defense is so horrible. I mean, their defense, they don't even want to tackle nobody. And like you said, they'll be 2-7 after this week, losing to Pittsburgh. There's no way I actually say this is my lock of the week. The Steelers beating the Cowboys, which is if it doesn't happen, it'll break my streak in a Survivor Series because I'm still alive in that one. So I'm hoping that will continue as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid lock.
Well, let's hope so. You can only pick them. You can only pick them one team per week, and the Steelers were right there for the picking. And
I would have been jumped all over that one too.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about the Steelers, who are they playing in the last game? The Browns.
The Browns. The last game. Now,
if they're 15-0, nobody sits. They will go after 16-0. I think.
You don't think they'll pull a? You don't think they'll pull an Indianapolis Colts and sit them down like they did Manning that year? And they after they got beat, I think they got beat by the Jets. I think
in week 13 or 14, something like that.
Let's could probably say that. I think the Colts were 14-0 and got beat by the Jets or something like that.
Right. If they lose, if they're 14-0 and lose, then yeah, I say they'll probably sit everybody. But if they're sitting at 15-0, looking at going undefeated, I don't think you sit anybody.
No.
Well, you're probably right there because it is Cleveland, and Pittsburgh and Cleveland do not like each other. And like Terry Bradshaw, there's two things you can always guarantee in life. He says, I was undefeated against the Browns at home, and Big Ben's undefeated against the Browns, so we don't worry about Cleveland as far as that goes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I just can't see them, especially if they're 15-0 or 14-1. And you're not gonna. And I see that happen so many times. And you brought up Peyton Manning. How many times did they sit Peyton Manning in the last 2 weeks? Have a week bye. He didn't play meaningful football for 3 years, and they lose in the divisional round.
Yeah,
too many times. Yeah. And I just hope Mike Tomlin doesn't make that same mistake and sit Big Ben and his guns and then they have a home playoff game against a 3 or 4 seed. And
I think their worst matchup. I think their worst matchup that they could face would be to have a bye and rest, and then have the team like Tennessee come in there who has a big running back, and you're not used to physical contact because maybe you set your players the last week of the season. Then you've got a bye, that's 2 weeks off, and then all of a sudden now you're going into physical contact against a guy like Henry. And man, I tell you what, that Tennessee Titans game, getting Desmond King to help out at cornerback. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have nobody, they have no pass rush, but boy, I tell you, that was huge pickup. And same thing with Seattle. Seattle getting Carlos Dunlap to put pressure on guys, and Jamal Adams coming back. That's another big pickup for Seattle too as well. So they did pretty good in the trade category. And of course the Bucks taking a gamble. I would say rolling dice with Antonio Brown. If he comes back, they're saying this week he's going to play anywhere from 10 to 35 plays. They've got him on limited play this week. So and they said also Bruce was saying that if Godwin's not ready to play, it could be more. So he could even be out there as a decoy, because this is a game where Lattimore has played Mike Evans for like the last 3 or 4 years, and he shut out Evans. I don't think Evans has ever had a great game against Lattimore at all. So it'd be interesting to see how if Lattimore faces Evans, if AB is on. What's that guy's name? The other guy, Jenkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just sending him on 9 routes all night.
Yeah,
Throw
I
it
think
up over the top.
I think Eli Apple's even out of football right now. I don't think
Mhm.
anybody has even picked up Eli Apple. I think he
No,
got
I don't.
cut. He's done now too as well. So, but yeah, it'll be
I
interesting.
like this. I like the signing of AB. I was thinking about that this afternoon before all the scandals that happened last year, the sexual assault allegations. The Patriots were going to win their 7th. If AB doesn't get suspended by the league, that offense was clicking and they were getting ready to roll.
Well, like I said, I mean, Bill Belichick stuck to his horses. He said, "You mess up and do any
You're
of that
done.
drama, you're out of here." And sure enough, he got on social media and said some things, and he was boom out of there. And
I can respect Bill for that. As much as I'm a football fan, a Patriots fan, want to win. If you're gonna say we're gonna do it this way, we're gonna do it the right way, we're gonna, any shenanigans and you're done. You do the shenanigans, you're done. Then you're done.
You're done.
And I can't say that was not the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it cost him a Super Bowl. So
I think so. I really do, and I'll stand by that. I was thinking about it this afternoon. It's just at work, Bill and Evans thinking about football because ain't got nothing better to do.
Yeah,
and,
like I said, I mean, with the whole Patriots, and now Belichick's now, you guys being Patriot fans, now the excuses are coming out from Bill. Oh, we went all in on Super Bowls those 3 years. We won one, lost one, and blah blah blah, and it all boils down to Jimmy G leaving there. Why didn't they trade back for Jacoby Brissett? That's another thing the Patriots fans have to ask. Why didn't you guys just say, bring back Jacoby? He's sitting there as a bench warmer with the Colts. Got a $15 million contract. You can afford him. Just bring. Why'd you go after Cam Newton? I just shake my head because that to me was not going to be a fit, and I couldn't believe how many fans were all over Cam Newton, and now Buffalo better be worried we're going to win that division now with Cam Newton, and I think Patriot fans feel like screwed.
I thought that out of all the free agent quarterbacks that were left available, I thought Cam was the best signing. I didn't think about trading for Brissett, and I really thought that it was kind of a holdover year, especially when all the players started dropping out because of COVID. So I kind of felt like this would be just a kind of a lost season, if you will. Anyway, so trying to make a bold move and having to mortgage the future, I really wasn't for it.
Yeah, I got a feeling that Lewis is going to hate me for this, but I think Cam Newton shows out on he shows out on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Cam Newton shows out because of that fumble. I think he shows.
Can go either way,
Yeah.
Buck.
Huh?
I mean, this is not the Patriots team that we have all known. I mean, this, and I know I think they're missing Brady an awful lot because Cam was no Tom Brady. So
No.
Yeah.
The Jets do have a chance to beat them.
And I never wanted Cam to be Brady. I didn't have high expectations for this season, especially again, like I just said with the COVID. What's the word?
N'Keal Harry is a bust. You might as well just.
Yeah, unfortunately, I thought he was going to be something special too.
He's a bust. N'Keal Harry's a bust. Sony Michel. We don't know what we're going to get. James White, you got to keep him. I mean, but
James White.
He's not getting any. He's not getting any younger neither too as well. So yeah. So yeah, the Patriots. I hate to say it, but if the Jets get Trevor Lawrence and put some wide receivers on that team to help them out, man, I tell you what, Patriots could be looking for a long time at that bottom of that division because Bill's going to do everything in his power build that team up because he's cut so much money. I think he's got like 60 million right now in cap space right now. So he's going to do something that's going to put the Patriots, because you're talking about the I think it's the richest organization in NFL. I think the Patriots are worth more than anybody as far as the billions go. Yeah, and I know the Cowboys are up there too as well, but the Patriots, I think they're like number one when it comes to how much the value of the franchise is. They're not going to let the Patriots slip that far down. And like I said, you guys will be back. We already know that. Now the Cowboys, they say it every year. They've been saying it since 1996, and they're gonna continue to say it until Jerry Jones decides to just get out of the way. Just get out of the way.
He can't get out of his own way.
Yeah, just get out of the way, and you babysitted Romo for all those years, and then now you got Dak, and now he's crying about wanting to get paid. You pay Dak, who you gonna get to play defense? I mean, if you pay Dak $40 million, if you think Dak Prescott's worth $40 million, and you're gonna invest in Dak for that period of time, I think it's a bad decision. But the way the NFL, they're talking about this year, the salary cap could actually drop and not increase because of the whole COVID thing. So if that's the case, then there's not going to be a lot of money out there. Same thing that happens with the Chiefs. They've got all their money wrapped up in Patrick Mahomes, and we know that Patrick Mahomes is going to be a guy like Tom Brady. He's going to give up some of his money to continue to help bring up players to help him and keep doing it. But now he's got the running back there. He's got him for 4 years for sure from LSU. He's got him. He's got Tyreek. He's got Kelsey. And all those guys. And next year he gets his offensive line guy who's a doctor. He'll be coming back to play, on the offensive line there. He'll be back in Kansas City. It's a matter of fact, are they going to be able to keep that defense, that old man front, as I like to call it, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and all those guys? Are they going to be able to keep that old man front together going forward? So.
And they also picked up Le'Veon Bell for the remainder of this season. We'll see how long. We'll see if he stays in Kansas City or if he moves on next year.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be a pretty good sight for him to play for Chiefs, playing the Jets last week.
Yeah.
I got a guy in our fantasy football league. It's one of the most contested fantasy football leagues I've ever been in. There's 12 guys in the league. The leader of the division is 5-3. There's 4 guys at 5-3, and there's 7 guys at 4-4. I've never been in a fantasy football league like that. And the guys in last place is 0-8. So we're gonna get him a Le'Veon. We're gonna give him a Le'Veon Bell Jets jersey since he hasn't won a game yet. We're gonna send it to him and say thanks for playing fantasy with us, and he's a Cowboys fan too as well. So I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah. I just started a fantasy league last week.
Wow.
I missed out on my normal fantasy league. Didn't fire up this year, so I just started one last week. I said, I want to play fantasy football. Let's see if there's anybody else that wants to play.
Yeah.
I'm 1-0 and 1 with one team and 0-1 with the other. Last year I dominated the regular season, and I had Russell Wilson and Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh,
and
that's a
Devontae Adams.
Yes.
And they were getting 30. Wilson and McCaffrey were good for 30 points every week each.
That's a hell of a team.
And I had the Patriots defense, and they came out and they were on fire. They stole me a couple of games.
Yeah, I got lucky with Michael Thomas last year. I mean, being a Bucs fan, and I drafted Michael Thomas, and he was setting all kind of records and stuff.
Right.
I got lucky. I got lucky with him. He actually took me all the way to the championship, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, I ended up losing in the championship game. I ended up finishing 10-3. Man, I had Justin Tucker as my kicker too. It's like I was draft defense and kickers early, so I can get a good defense and a good kicker because they're going to score you. They're going to steal you some points.
You can't go wrong with Justin Tucker.
No, you can't.
Bradley must be low on batteries tonight. He's been bouncing in and out. Bradley, you okay? You still with us?
I'm having I'm having internet issues. Having internet issues. That's keep going now. Yeah.
Oh.
You know why that is? You know why that is? It's all that hurricane talk you did down there and laughing about it. And now there's probably a big high wind up there by your house blowing your antenna and your internet service and everything around now.
Yeesh.
Is there anything else, Bradley? I mean, I appreciate you guys listening. And,
Yeah, I got that I'm having internet issues.
Yeah.
That's good. Good talk.
Yeah.
I love
Good.
football. I love
Yeah.
sports in general.
Yeah, that's good. Talking with you guys. Hope to do it again. I know Bradley. We did a big guy. We were on for almost. I think we went over. I think we went like 2.5 hours. So first time we were together, at the beginning of the season or whatever. And it was great to get all that feedback out. We talked about everything from college football to the pros, and I know you guys were talking about Ric Flair before I came on. Woo! I got to get back to my old days, back in my good old days of the wrestling days of Ric Flair. That's the man. That's the man. Yeah, that's the man.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's the guy. Buck Flair. That's why Buck Flair originated from. Once Ric Flair, I got to get a Buck Flair. I got to get my Buck mascot. So normally you'll see me with a wig on, all that kind of good stuff. But I came on with my safety goggles because I didn't know if Bradley was gonna shoot a lot of spit to me this time about Tom Brady being a Bucks now.
I mean, I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, so
Yeah, me too. Yep. I'm happy he's here in Tampa.
yeah, me too. I was like 2 more years to go down to South Florida. I'm okay with it, Yeah, retire in South Florida. I mean, can't knock it.
Hey, Florida's a lovely state, man. You're always welcome here. I'm born and raised here, so yep.
Great show, Bradley. Thanks for having me on, and I'll keep watching, man. All right.
Well, anytime.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate. You know what? I think from here on out, I'm just gonna have you guys come on here. I think the show works much better. We
It's
can
so
just
much fun.
discuss all the topics together. We'll just go through them all. If you guys want me to, as soon as I set up my notes, I'll just message them to you, and you guys can read over. If you want to do
Sounds
that,
good to me.
do that from here on out. Because it seems
Sounds
like
great.
the show has more rhythm that way, than me just talking for an hour and then bringing you guys on. So yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, it sounds great to me.
All right, well,
what you could do is you do your intro like you normally do, where you do your sponsor, right? And then 5 minutes after, you just go ahead and you start the topic, your first topic, and then just kind of bring us in as we get here.
Well, I get in a little bit later though, so I'll do.
Right, I'm like 15.
Yeah.
I'm like 15 minutes early anyway, so.
Adam's always on here before. I'll come on and bam, he's there. He's in the screen.
Yeah.
Sounds like Joe. My callers come on before I start up.
Yeah.
By the way, Adam, if you don't mind, Brad, just to plug myself,
Go ahead.
I do a Saturday afternoon show called the Enhanced Sports Show.
Okay.
We talk about everything in the world of sports. Well, almost everything except maybe midget wrestling. But
midget wrestling. Oh, that's my favorite sport.
Hey, if you want to bring it up, go right ahead. It's fine.
No, I've never watched.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
The only midget wrestling I've watched is all X-rated.
Okay, but anyway, if you had time between 5 and 7 here on the East Coast,
Okay.
Feel free to call in.
Yeah.
It's the same
Go
number.
ahead and, add me on Facebook tonight. I'm on Brad's. If you're on Brad's friends list, go ahead and just add me tonight, and we can.
I don't think I'm on his list, but just try to look me up if you can on Facebook. You see my here, so you can look me up on that. So anyway, the number is the same number is here: 512-543-4662, and I'm on Saturdays 5 to 7 p.m. New York time.
Okay.
All right. And of course, Bradley's welcome to call in too, because hey, I thought maybe you wanted to share your information on last week's World Series, or then again, maybe not.
I have no comments on that.
Yeah.
Comments on that.
I thought I'd give it a shot.
No, it's going to go back. It's going to be the biggest mistake in World Series history for Rays fans, but for everyone else, hey,
it is 2022.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
All right, fellas.
Or
Good night.
21, whatever it is.
Have a very good
Have a
night.
good night.
Yep. All right, buddy. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go through my spiel here at the end of my show.
Okay.
If you want to hang on here, you can. So let me go
Yeah,
ahead
that's
and do that. Again, guys, thank you for popping into the Walker Report. This is the Sports Show, Brad Walker. We are part of In the Zone Sports Radio. I want to thank Adam and Rick and Lewis for coming on. I think from here on out, guys, if you guys did watch the show, I think from here on out, I'm just going to have everyone come on in the beginning. We're just going to discuss topics. I'll just go ahead and come up with the topics. We'll just go through them all together. I think it's better. The show goes in much more rhythm that way. I want to thank my two sponsors, TradingZenSpaces.com and B&B Graphics and more. Go on Facebook, guys. They both have Facebook pages to go on there. You go on B&B Graphics and order a cup like the one that I have right in front of me, right there. Just mention me. You guys get 10% off your order if you mention the show and mention me. As I do always, guys, before I go, I want to give a shout out to our first responders, doctors, nurses, and essential workers. You guys are the true heroes of COVID so far through the 8 months we've had to deal with this, and hopefully we don't have to deal with it much more. Also to our soldiers, both active, retired, and the ones who've left us, thank you for your sacrifices. I would not be able to talk to this microphone and be an idiot on the internet 3 days a week if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you, everyone in the military. Also to our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics, our domestic people here locally, keeping us safe. And as always, guys, thank you for joining me, even if you were in here just for a second, and I appreciate the view for coming in here. I love all of you guys. Until next Thursday, I'm out of here. Everyone have a great weekend. Great weekend coming up in college football. A great weekend, as Rick was explaining, in the NFL. So if you guys are football fans, look forward. NASCAR. We're kind of
weekend.
on Sunday, so we'll have it. I'll be talking about that next week. I'll bring that up next week right here. If you guys love me, I'm back solo on Monday night on the Sunshine State Sports Jabber, and then I'll be on Tuesday night with my man Larry Frank talking about USF. Hopefully we talk about a win. I don't know if they're going to beat Memphis on Saturday afternoon, but we'll see what happens.
They may want to bring the baseball bats.
Anything can happen on a Saturday. But until then, guys, everyone stay safe out there. Wear your mask. Be safe and all that. And until next Thursday, I'm going to sign off here. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me. But until then, guys, everyone, peace.